Hello, and I'm pleased to say that the day that I thought would never come has finally come. The day when Apple releases official support in its Bootcamp software, like it promised that it would be by the end of the year, but it's now February. But anyway, I'm ranting. Official support to run Bootcamp in its Windows 7 in its Bootcamp utility on the 27-inch iMac. Now this has been done before, but it requires a hack with some API drivers. This is an Apple tried and tested way that just came out a few days ago. I also want to say that I'm sorry about the camera setup if you can't see much, but me and my family members have tried everything to make sure you're going to be able to see, so hopefully you'll be okay with that. So I'm just going to kind of talk you through how to install Windows 7 on the 27-inch iMac, because I'm actually going to be doing it myself for the purposes of gaming, so this is actually for myself. So I'm not really going to explain what Bootcamp is, but I'm just going to tell you what you need to do and what you need to do it. First of all, you're going to need a authentic, not pirated, version of Windows 7, if you can see there. The little Windows logo, either 32 or 64-bit, they are both supported. You're also going to need the install discs that came with your Intel based Mac. You're going to need a keyboard and mouse for use during the installation, and you're going to need a couple of free packages which I'll show you how to get. This is a website which you can find just by googling around, and it is a website which contains some drivers that you inject into the Windows 7 installer. This all sounds a bit complicated, but I'll talk you through it. So what you do is you go to this website and it's got instructions, and you, like it says, scroll down and you're gonna wanna download the files. Sorry if this turns out a long or boring video, guys. So you're gonna hit accept and download. A little window is gonna pop up depending on which browser you're using, and you're just gonna be a zip file, so you can open it with the default unzipper, and it's going to download.
It's 2030.
If you see there in that window. I'm just having to look on the camera to see where you can see this. As we see, it is downloading, and it's going to take 30 something minutes, so I'm going to come back when it's done. See you in a minute, guys. Okay, so the files that we downloaded from Apple have finished downloading, and I've got them as a folder in the Finder. What these are the files that are going to allow us to you complete the setup, because the display drivers that come with the Windows 7 setup, the generic display drivers, do not work with the 27-inch iMac. So what we're about to do is going to create something that will intervene and install the correct display drivers, thus allowing us to complete the setup. So yes, I did decide to give you the wider shot because I figured you weren't really seeing much anyway, so I hope you still get something out of this. What we're going to do is have a clean USB drive that we can format and have as a stock USB drive, and we don't need to do anything with. What we're going to do is we're going to grab all the files, here, sorry guys, it's difficult when I'm looking at it from this angle because of the camera and things. What we're going to do is select all the files and we're going to put them onto the drive. Now make sure it's a formatted drive and that you're putting these in the root of the drive. I've connected a second USB drive as the first one is from my schoolworks. So obviously I can't overwrite that. The two key ones that you need are the drivers and XML files. I'm just going to copy all of these over just for just to make sure. And I copied them back into the same folder again. That wasn't clever. And it's gonna copy over to my USB drive. I'll be back when it's done. Okay, so those files are now copied over to our USB device. Now it has to be a USB device for the Windows installed to find, because that's where it looks for other default drivers, and it has to be plugged in when we start the Windows installer, which we're about to do in a second. What we're going to do is go up to Spotlight and type in boots, which will bring up the Bootcamp tool. We're then just going to continue, and interestingly there hasn't been an update to the Bootcamp tool itself saying you can actually install it. I'm just going to pick a sensible size that I need my hard drive to be, since this is the whole reason why I'm installing Windows, because I'm using this for gaming, and I picked a hard drive size that was way too small. So we'll just pick 139 gigs, that should be enough. I'm going to hit the partition button, and then going to partition the disks, so we have as much as we wanted for Windows and as much as we wanted for OS 10, and as OS 10 is my primary operating system, we are gonna give that the lion's share of this 1 terabyte hard drive. And what we're basically doing now is partitioning the disk, and it wants us to insert our authentic Windows disk, which I'm going to do now, into the super drive. I'd rather install 32-bit because of extended compatibility, but it turned out that my 32-bit disk is actually too scratched to work anymore, so I'm glad they come with both. I'm going to take out the 64-bit disk. If I can ever actually do it. And we are going to insert it into the super drive. We're then going to hit start installation on the Bootcamp installer. So I'm going to refresh the screen and actually reboot into the Windows installer. So you'll see that in a minute. The white balance, so we can completely phone off from the camera, but there's not much I can do about that. And I've currently got the spinning bit put all doing what it's just made. It's doing something, hopefully. And we're just closing out of OS 10, and any minute now it's going to boot into Windows. Now, there are a couple of things that you have to consider. So we noticed that we've got the white display there, but I don't think we're going to see the Apple logo. I've done this several times, but I always forget whether you do or not, and we in fact didn't. It's just going to boot straight into the normal Windows installer. But again, there are a couple of more things to consider, so I'm going to leave the camera running. It just says Windows loading files. It's just loading them into memory off the disk. So I'm going to leave the camera running for this bit, because there's a couple of interesting things to consider. Also, and I've said this many times, but make sure you have your USB drive that contains the files that we downloaded from Apple connected at this point. And also make sure, before you do any of this, because I'm guessing you're not following along, I should have mentioned this at the start, make sure I have a full system backup just in case anything goes wrong. I back up with Time Machine onto my 1TB time capsule. So if anything goes wrong, I will have a complete bootable backup down to the last hour. So I should have no problems there. It's just continuing loading files, and this is actually loading the bare bones for this setup. This is the first time I've done this with official Apple support, so there shouldn't be a problem with display drivers. It's now going to give us that starting Windows orb that you see every time you start Windows anyway, and apparently it's the same as on Windows mobile devices. So we're now going to boot into the Windows installer, and this will completely mess up my resolution, because at this stage the drivers that it's using are completely generic. So it says setup is starting, and we've got this thing that says Windows 7, choose what language you'd like to install it in, and I'm going to do English United States, because although I'm in the UK, an OS 10 keyboard is the same as a States keyboard, and then I'm just going to hit next. I'm going to select the operating system to install, and I'm going to select Windows 7 Home Premium because that's the one I have, and 64-bit. We're just going to hit next, accept the terms, hit next. I'm going to set the one that says it's clearly labelled Bootcamp in capital letters, you can't miss it. If you do any of this other stuff, it will not work. Now we're going to need to go into drive options, format, and click OK. At this stage you must be sure you're formatting the correct drive, the one that's labelled Bootcamp in capital letters. I'm sure, so we're just going to hit OK. That Bootcamp has now gone away, but it's just because it's been formatted. All we need to do is hit next. It's now going to run through the default installation process. There are a few more things that we need to consider, and I'll turn the camera on when it's time for those. So, see you guys in about half an hour of real time. Obviously it won't be half an hour of video. See you guys soon. Okay, so I've now entered my product key, and it's asking me how I want to install updates. So I'm just going to hit use recommended settings, and it's going to ask me for my date and time, which is not might be correct. So I'm just going to hit next. It's going to ask me for wireless network, which is very, very cool. So I can be online when I first start the operating system. This is one of the things I was impressed with. Leopard does this, but Windows never did it, but they fixed that with Windows 7. Just going to hit next. So this is our home network, so I can apply the settings. And while I'm talking there, I'm just going to say that this SmackDown network cable really is important. I don't like the fact that Microsoft buried the product key beneath 50 billion useless books, because you can't get to it. I understand they may have done it for security, but they could have put it underneath one book so that you couldn't see it. But anyway, it now says preparing your desktop. And we now look like we are in a full installation of Windows 7. Interestingly, we're not, because we're running it in 7-inch iMac. There are a couple of things we have to go through first. First, the wireless keyboard doesn't work. We're going to get this to work, but it doesn't work so often. So we're going to need to manually check the disk. You do that by going to Start and going to Computer. You're then going to see all your drives. We're then going to eject our Windows Vista disk by right clicking it and going to eject. I'm now going to put that back So I now have a full installation of Windows. What we now need to do though is install the drivers that came with our Mac. So gonna get our first install disk, and I said about this earlier. I'm gonna get the first disk. And we're gonna insert it into our gonna insert it into our super drive. It's then going to be read as a Windows disk with the title of Windows support, so we're just going to click on that. It's then going to give us a USC prompt asking us if we want to run the program, and obviously we do. We're then going to get us to go through the default Windows installer, and it's going to install some drivers. One annoying thing is that it installs the NVIDIA driver, which we obviously don't need. I'm going to come back when this is all installed. See you in a minute. Okay, the drivers have finished installing, and I just wanted to say that throughout the install you'll see some weird things happen. Some weird things when I install, like trackpad drivers. You'll think, why don't I need that for the 2070 iMac? But just let them install. And by the end you'll get this with double display fit. I'm hoping that when I restart it will be fine, but you'll see that live with me, you guys. So I'm gonna hit finish, and then I'm gonna say, do you want to restart? Yes. Now, hoping that when it's restarted, this weird just double display problem, because it's a problem with the arrow, will be corrected. Even though I've now finished installing Windows, it's still going to boot into it by default because I haven't selected. Otherwise, I'll show you guys how to do that in a minute. We're going to boot back into Windows. It's going to boot back into Windows by default. And the screen's gonna load again, hopefully having installed some different drivers. So we get our welcome screen, and we find we have default sound support, which is good, and we also have a whole bunch of other stuff. I believe everything works now. So how do you change it boot by default back into OS 10? Well, you go into the Bootcamp icon in the status bar, go to Bootcamp control panel, accept the arrow prompt, we're then going to say which one we want to boot into. So we're going to say Macintosh HD is the one we want to boot into by default. I'm going to hit apply. And you may want to play with some of these other settings about power consumption and things. We're also going to want to install a wireless keyboard and Magic Mouse. Apple said that you're going to want to update some drivers afterwards, even after this is complete, but it seems as though everything's working. So they said that you're going to have to download an additional package to make Bluetooth work, but that might have just been for upgrades from XP. So I'm just going to check that out. If I can show Bluetooth devices. And it's picked up my keyboard, the eject button has worked, so I'm going to assume that everything works and that we don't have to do any updates. If something doesn't work, I will do the updates and I will write in the annotations that you do in fact have to do the update, but everything seems to be working. Anyway, that was a very, 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 very long video, but I hope you've at least got something out of it, and I've now got Windows 7 installed on my iMac. Thanks for watching.